All right, so we don't have Ian today. I'm just going to run through these questions real quick, and we will go ahead and get started with Fat Hedonist questions since he's here with me. So his question is, he wants to ask about stems and remixing. Actually, Fat Hedonist, do you want to unmute your mic and just ask this question in person so I don't have to read it all?
Sure.
Thanks. I'm lazy.
Basically, yeah, I want to know about where I get stems. Am I going to have to, get deep down in the dirty web to find these stems? And what are the legal ramifications of using these stems with and what is a remix? What's considered a remix? What can I do with those stems that would be considered an actual remix and not like a bootleg? And what's the difference between a remix and a bootleg?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of things. That's basically.
Sure. Okay. I'll dive into this. Okay. So the difference between a remix and a bootleg is a remix is an official remix that is going to be released in some capacity or another. Another official remix would be like if it was a remix competition, then that technically is an official remix because they're giving you the stems and you're remixing it. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but then the difference between the remix and the bootleg is that a bootleg it's the same thing. It's just a remix that is unofficial. So, for example, even big name artists will do this. Like recently, I think it might have been David Guetta or some really big house person. They recently released like a bootleg of, what's her name?
Dua Lipa.
Well, probably that too, but I was actually thinking of the WAP by Cardi B.
Oh, no, that's the video I watched. That's what brought all this up. Was that video?
Yeah. So a bootleg is just an unofficial remix. So in that capacity, he, I guess, did an unofficial remix, and I'm not really sure how that works out in terms of him being as big as he is and actually releasing it. Because normally, if an artist like David Guetta is able to do like an official remix, and it's weird to me that was labeled as a bootleg, but that is the difference. Is a bootleg is unofficial, a remix is official. Now, as far as as far as getting stems and stuff, I get all my remix stems from remix competitions, and they're all completely legal. Sites like Metapop host them. There used to be, like, way back in the day, when I was super into EDM, it seemed like everybody was doing remix competitions. And these days, I think there are maybe less remix competitions than there used to be, or at least they're not as easy to find. But if you join Metapop, they do tons of remix competitions, and you can usually find some pretty good ones. They usually have like multiple ones running at the same time. So I actually just got done doing one recently, which I just submitted. But all within the rules, every competition is going to have slightly different rules, kind of. So depending on how many stems you have to use, or et cetera, all that's going to depend on the competition. And then as far as sometimes you can find stems for like a track that you want to remix, in a more, I guess, sketchy way. I'm sure that you could find them. I don't know if that's necessarily recommended. Do you have like a specific song in mind that you want to remix, or what?
No, there's just I got the stems for the song I do want to remix. But in general, it's very hard to get acapellas and then to get good acapellas.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I saw that video, the David Guetta video. I don't know how to say his last name, but I saw that. I watched that WAP video and I was like, okay, so he's just basically taking RX8 and cutting everything out. Are there other, an addendum to this? Is there other ways than RX8? Can I make my own stems? Is there an easier way to do that?
I've never attempted to make my own stems. If you have access to basically an instrumental version and a version that has the acapella, like the full version, and it's like a good quality. Like if it's the same quality for both, because of like phase cancellation, you can literally line up the instrumental with the version that has the full, with the acapella and everything, and it'll the phase will cancel out the instrumental part, and you'll be left with just the acapella. So that is how you can do it yourself as far as extracting an acapella. But I don't know that. I feel like that would be pretty difficult to do with stems, and I don't know if there are really any software that Ian might know. Ian, like maybe bring this back up when Ian's around, because he would know better than I if there's actually software that can extract stems. But I tend to think no, that'd be pretty hard to do, at least to do right and good. So yeah, I don't know about that one.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. I'm going to move on to Luke 2.0 because he just asked this recently. So he says, I want to go to DJ lessons and production lessons, and someone in his region, he wants to help me. He's a DJ for a long time and DJ champion. Not really sure what that means, but he asks $22.50. So what does that come into? Like $20 US dollars ish for 30-minute lesson. You think that's a fair price? Because I'm interested in it, but I don't know the average percentage. I mean, so I don't know what the market is like where you live. Obviously, you use euros instead of US dollars. I charge $40 for my private lessons for an hour. So, and just to, I guess, add on to that, 30 minutes seems like kind of a short time to learn to, do either DJ or production lessons. I would ask him if he'd be willing to do an hour session instead, and see if he's willing to maybe give you a little cheaper price if you're doing an hour. But yeah, that sounds like, that sounds about like what I charge for my private lessons. So I'd say that's a pretty standard, I'm going to assume. Okay, let's go up to the top here and answer some of these questions. Okay, so first one is Fieldtrig, and he's asking, can you make a tutorial on making stock wavetables from scratch for Serum, or most use growls in melodic dubstep by Last Heroes? Okay, he wants to make creative stuff from scratch instead of using wavetables, and he's watched Seamless tutorials, but it all sounds the same. Okay, yeah, I mean, I'd have to look into that. I feel like Virtual Riot may have some tutorials on this. So I would recommend checking out Virtual Riot and seeing if he does have some tutorials on how to make custom wavetables. You can use, so in Serum you can use like PNGs and like just drag them directly on the wavetable and create your own wavetables. I mean, there's like you can get really creative by like making your own wavetables. So, but yeah, I definitely check out Virtual Riot because he's kind of like, I guess, the man when it comes to Serum tutorials and stuff. So here, let me see what Fahidinus just said. Yeah, so Fahidinus said, this is to Luke 2.0. Might want to check some online DJ courses as well. That's definitely a good recommendation. Private lessons are definitely good. It's gonna help. It's gonna help you out. Oh, and he found the Virtual Riot. Is this the video? Yeah, this is the, okay, perfect. So appreciate you, man, for doing that. So yeah, that's the video that you want to watch, Fieldtrig. And Luke, definitely, you could think about doing some online classes, and it would probably be like cheaper if you do like a course or something like that. But it's up to you. Private lessons are probably gonna help you get to the level you want to get to faster. So that's the benefit of that. Let's move back up here. Okay, so Moonbeam says, hello guys. This is more of a music production question. I can't seem to construct good chords or melodies, and I am this close to yeeting away my potato laptop. I don't have a keyboard and I can't buy a new one right now. Any suggestions? Okay, so as far as the constructing chords and melodies, so I have a couple of tutorials which I've done on my channel. One of them is a music theory tutorial that I did fairly recently, and it's on chords. It should be pretty easy to find. And then there's another tutorial which I'll find these and I'll post these in the answers after we do the Q&A. But both of those tutorials I made specifically for this, like to answer this question. And so that's a good place to start. The advice that Typho's giving you below is good advice, and it's basically what I'm talking about as far as when coming up with melodies. You want to start with the chord progression first, come up with a simple chord progression, and then use that chord progression to come up with a melody on top of that. And in the tutorials, I give you a lot of really actionable stuff that you can use to help you with that. So I'll post those after this. Field Trig. Oh well, he's answering your question. So a lot of people, seems like everybody's just kind of just answering your question. Is that everybody? Looks like that's all the questions, unless, was this? Okay. Pretty sure, Fat Hedonist, can you, does that look like all the questions to you too? I just don't want to miss anybody's questions because I tend to do that sometimes.
You already answered more than I thought was there, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And Tantra just showed up.
Oh, yeah, Tantra just showed up. What's up, Tantra? Do you have any questions? Tantra might not have a working mic.
I also have an addendum to Luke's question, because this is something I've been actually looking a whole lot into recently. Right. Just ordered my first DJ deck, so depending on what you want to use, there's two, and I'll post the links in here. There's two YouTube people that for mixing that I found for noobs is really good resource, which is Crossfader, and then Phil Harris are two ones that are for beginners. They've cleared up a lot of things for me. I was going to post their stuff in there for DJ and stuff to help out.
Okay, cool. Yeah, definitely do that. Tantra, do you have any questions, or are you just coming to hang out? You're probably coming to hang out. You just pretty much missed it. I think we're done already because there weren't a whole lot of questions. So if you don't have... Oh, he does have a question. Okay. What's your question, man? Hey, Fat Hedonist, what are you planning on getting in the way of turntables? Are you going to get CDJs or?
Oh, I'm not that expensive. I got newbie deck, but I did get a good new one.
Did you get a controller?
Yeah, I got a controller.
Okay.
I got the new Newmark Platinum FX.
Okay.
It works with Serato and Virtual DJ and most everything but Record Box.
It doesn't work with Record Box?
Well, it may. I don't know. I don't think it will because it's a Serato.
Okay.
So, and I was going to get a DDJ 400.
Okay.
But I decided that I did not. Record Box and the Pioneer thing seems like more of an Apple type of move and situation. So I did not want to go that way. So
Okay, I got you. So Tantra just asked a question and then dipped out. But I'll answer it anyway. Is it possible to put reverb on sub bass on a particular situation? I would not recommend ever putting reverb on the sub bass. That's just me. Don't think there may be a situation where you want to put reverb on a bass, but in that situation, I would layer a sub bass underneath it. Yeah. Well, putting harmonics on your sub bass is, that's a completely different thing. So when you put reverb on a sub bass, you're like reverb. You're washing out the sound. Like you don't want to do that on sub. I guess to finish my thought. So if you wanted a reverb sound on a bass, you want a reverb on a bass sound, what I would do is put that on like the mid bass and then layer a sub bass underneath that and make sure there's no reverb or anything on the actual sub. So you'd layer like a sine wave, which is just the bass tone, and then put that underneath the other bass that you're using. So, Fat Hedonist, you had any, what were you can unmute your mic if you want. I mean, it's just you and me anyway, instead of typing.
Oh, I'm just posting links.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, cool. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up then. I guess, did you have anything else that you wanted to add, or you're good? You've already muted your mic, so. All right, guys, I will see you all next week. Let me know if you have any questions. Ian will be with us again next week, so we'll have, you know, his added expertise. And then also, Fat Hedonist, if you want to revisit your question and see if Ian knows of any software that for like stems and stuff. I don't know. I tend to think that there's not really any software because it kind of is going into a legality thing at that point where I don't know if it's technically legal to just take a song and like and extract stems from it and just use them like that. I mean, there's a lot of copyright stuff. I don't know. I don't know how that would work. So we'll talk to Ian about that. But all right, guys, see you all later.